Find the time, freedom, and financial independence you can have through entrepreneurship. Whether you're a buyer, seller, franchisee, franchisor, or a consultant, find everything you need to know about franchising right here. Welcome to the Level Up with Nick Lopez show.
Welcome to the Level Up show with Nick Lopez, where we have the absolute pleasure of learning from thought leaders in business, franchising, and high performance personal development. Today's guest most certainly goes without exception. This is also another special episode of the Perseverance series. I am so excited to share this leader and entrepreneur story and to give you a glimpse into her leadership and perseverance. It is my honor to welcome the owner of Lime Painting of Westchester, Meredith Royall. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Nick. I appreciate being here. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yay, we did it. We're on the show. Let's go.
Yeah.
My goodness, Meredith, would you mind sharing? I know complicated, but I would love to know, how did you find Lime and why did you choose to be a business owner at Lime?
Okay, that's a great kickoff question. I had been wanting to buy a business for a while. My background, just very quickly, is in digital marketing, graphic design, and direct-to-consumer work. And I was ready for a different kind of challenge and always thought it would be cool to run something. And I had a background also in real estate investing and renovations up in the Hudson Valley. I started going on this biz buy sell list. It's basically like a Craigslist for people retiring and selling their business. And those businesses sounded interesting, but they were all like, owner will train you for 2 weeks before they retire to Hawaii. And that really scared me. Like, as interesting as those businesses sounded, I'm coming into something without really kind of support around me. So that led me to start thinking about the franchise model and which ones were strong. And I did my own independent research, but then I was lucky enough to find John Anderson, and he really walked me through what franchise business ownership is like and helped me narrow down not only what kind of business I wanted to run, but what I wanted my life to look like holistically. And I think from there, really, Lime seemed like a natural fit because it's values driven. It's a family in and of itself. And it seemed like it could provide a lot of resources and information for me that I wouldn't be able to find if I had just gone out on my own and started my own business from scratch or inherited one from someone who ran away. So it seemed like Lime was a natural fit for that. And within the franchise sort of ownership, there's a lot of freedom specifically at Lime to still be able to make it my own and feel like it's really my company too. But yeah, it seemed like those were all qualities that I was looking for that Lime seemed to have. So that's how I ended up here.
Why do you think culture and you mentioned that family dynamic, why do you think that was important and resonated for you?
Because I think intrinsically you are surrounded by the same kind of people they're there because they made the same kind of decisions, right? So you have something fundamental in common with the current franchise partners, and that makes it feel a lot more comfortable to utilize them as a support network.
Right. They're folks that automatically from day one choose to show up and do business in the same posture.
That's right.
And frankly, Meredith, is that not the case everywhere? I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't either. This is my first experience in business ownership, and I do find that there's a level of determination here that I don't think exists in normal company cultures because we're all running something and there's the buck stops with you, and that is a quality, that is a particular characteristic of a person that can understand that and take that on every day.
Yeah, well said. And doing that in collaboration with folks that align with gratitude, enthusiasm, tenacity, love, integrity, mission, excellence, and discipline. Yeah, sure, there's company cultures everywhere, right? But Lime has a specific makeup. And you just stated that so well. I think of the values of tenacity and discipline and excellence. And those just create a high performance culture and a very dedicated ownership group that, yeah, sure, you collectively have an ownership mentality amongst the culture, but I think you can have that anywhere, right? It's the clarity in which what are the standards and how do
Mhm.
we operate, and ultimately that is at our core what we're all saying, oh, okay, I relate to that, and yeah, I'll commit to that and I'll grow in that environment because that's what I'm looking for, is an environment for me to grow as a business owner. And yeah, somebody like John Anderson, we are very intentional about working with the top franchise consultants because, frankly, they're just really good at what they do.
Mhm.
And they do a lot of that matchmaking that allows for to get right to so much further down the path of consideration when it comes to being a business owner in a franchise like Lime. Yeah, the values and the way we do business, we're clearly intentional about it. And we set that as very clear, I guess, directive when we're engaging top franchise consultants because they can then help with that matchmaking process. And yeah, I wanted to speak to that because you're just somebody that has always impressed me with your thoughtfulness and your approach. Of course, we relate around our values. That's what someone like John Anderson does. They go, oh, okay, Meredith and Nick and this group and this brand and these skills and this lifestyle and these wants, and this makes sense. And if it happens, great. If not, great. And so I'm certainly so honored that you are a franchise partner at Lime. You certainly blew through the doors and are on the other side in terms of business ownership. And so I want to kick things off, Meredith. So, what was the moment you almost quit, and what made you push through?
This is my first year of business ownership, so there have been a lot of challenging moments. But I would say there were some dark days right when I launched where I felt overwhelmed because I didn't know how I was ever going to reach all of the people that I needed to reach, and it felt so daunting. And I had, yeah, I would say that it was, but it was right when I first started, and I didn't know what I didn't know. In a lot of ways, I still don't know what I don't know. But having that kind of understanding that I was really overwhelmed and out of any realm of experience that I had ever had before, I felt afraid, and which is a common emotion. And you realize you just have to stick with a feeling for a certain amount of time and then it'll change. So that was when I got to the part where I didn't quit. um,
Right.
yeah, you have a feeling and you sit with it.
And when you're in that moment, if you're going back to that state of mind, that period, what allowed you to persevere? What pulled you through that?
Again, just understanding that it was transitory and that there's no way you can know everything all at once when you start something new. There's no way you can really actually, as your boys could probably attest to, when you start anything new, when you learn a sport, when you try to speak a new language, when you take on anything new, you're not going to be wonderful from the get. It's you're met with a lot of roadblocks that only come through learning and understand that it's okay to not know can get you through a moment where you feel overwhelmed and frustrated.
Yeah, all too often there's this idea perfectionism that is like a goalpost, and we're unfortunately it's constantly getting moved back because that's just perfectionism and a perfectionist mindset, or I guess more of an ideal outcome, or even just having an expectation of the goalpost and the outcome and the standard and the results and the speed at which everything comes together. Yeah, that's year one. It's not only the first time doing something, which comes with its questions and uncertainties, but you're learning something new, you're doing something new, and you have obligations as well. And so that creates this dynamic of year one, which thank goodness it's only you only have 1 year of year one. And so, yeah, that certainly tests your resolve. And so understanding that, okay, look, if I can pull myself out of the trees, if I can look above the forest and just realize that, okay, this is temporary, I'm going through a season. Yeah, that is such a smart way to persevere. But granted, when you're the one in the arena, easy to speak it, but that dynamic, it's not unusual. And yeah, I've certainly been inspired by not only your approach prior to becoming an owner, but you launching, becoming an owner, and everything in between. And yeah, I was wanting to get your take on just that. I was curious what you would say, and love it. I totally agree. Year one, oh goodness, it is not something that is enjoyable going up
Mhm.
and down. I'm the top of the world. I'm on the bottom of the world. I
Exactly.
got this. What did I do? I'll be fine. No, I won't. It can happen over days and weeks. And yeah, thank you for your leadership and just your posture of persevering in such an exciting but unique time. And so that's one of the strengths of a franchise, clearly, the fact that you can lean on peers and other folks in the company to give perspective and help you navigate not just year one, but my gosh, really crush year two and three and four and hit your milestones and build the business that you're looking to build. Meredith, how do you lead a team when everything feels like it is going wrong?
There's a twofold approach. One, I think, I know it sounds like a cliche, but I really do believe in the power of manifesting. And I think I'm lucky to have the strength of vision. It's just using my imagination to see what it already is and then just know that I just need to get in the car to go get to the thing that is already out there existing. And if I keep that vision alive for myself and I give off that energy and I help explain that to people, and I have a wonderful GM right now, and he's all in, and a lot, and my subs that I've been building, my artisans, then they're a lot more likely to stay excited even when things do go south, because even in some of the bids that we've lost, there I haven't come away from any experience without learning something invaluable. And that's what this year is, and that's the grace of this year that you get to have, is that oh, I didn't know that. I think in your business speak, you call it failing forward or something like that. But it means that for everything that I've lost, oh, I learned it's hard to pull a quote out of these particular kinds of subs working on these particular projects, or this is how I have to ask specific questions to determine what my client needs, or There's so many different ways you can pick at not just why something went wrong, but how you could make it different the next time you encounter the situation. And not to sound lemons lemonade, but I do think that keeps the momentum going, and it keeps you looking ahead rather than telling yourself a story about failure.
Yeah, it's so much about approach and mindset, and that is the core of perseverance. You can't persevere with the wrong mindset. And that ability to see something through, and that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. You create that vision and you lead the people you're leading despite whether a moment has a setback or something doesn't have an answer. Yeah, you're that pillar of stability. And I just love our core values. As you were talking, I was thinking about just the standards of excellence, and you talk about failing forward, that high performance mentality. And that's just who I perceive you as, a high performer. And that's the mentality, failing forward. But at the core of that is just incredible humility and coachability. And that's so much of year one, right? Like someone like yourself, Meredith, so gifted, talented, bring a life of experience. And then all of a sudden you're put in a position where you have to learn and you have to give yourself grace and the bandwidth to get in stride. And that is ultimately the core of a franchise and perfecting for us the Lime way and getting in stride there. But it's such an important calling, leading a team and people and doing that to create value in your community and to provide opportunities for someone like Nick, your new GM. And congrats on that, by the way. Super
Thank you.
exciting. I've been seeing him on Slack on the Lime wall,
Oh yeah.
and I can tell he is getting after it. Thank you for bringing him up. That is what it's all about. And when you talk about the dream or the vision, that dream works because the team. I think it's teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
So thanks for being a dreamer, Meredith, and being a high performer and persevering and sharing it so that others can be inspired to fail forward as well and accomplish whatever their vision is, hopes and goals and milestones. Next question here. What's one hardship you faced that no one saw but shaped who you are today?
Pertaining to the business, I think we all have choices that we make around the voices in our mind that we decide to listen to. And I think that a particular hardship that I've faced in my life, when I think about how challenging it was, I could have gotten myself out of that if I had changed my mind about who I was going to be about it. That's all hindsight. But in the moment, I didn't listen to the right voice. And I think that it brought a lot of self criticism and it knocked my confidence down. And I let external forces come in and knock my confidence down. And and it took a long time and a lot of personal growth to rebuild from that experience and train my mind to listen to the other voices. I sound like I'm a nutty person, all the voices in my head. But it is true that I had a life coach for several years who worked with me during this time, and he would say, you get to decide every day how you're going to be about it. How are you going to be about this challenge? How are you going to be about this as a parent? I think some people make the mistake of calling that impersonation syndrome or something, but it's not. It is you. And I wouldn't know that if I had not gone through that particular hardship that really knocked me down personally. And you have to show up in life like You can't take a day off if you're a parent. You can't take a day off if you own a business. You can't take a day off from yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. So yeah, so I think that particular hardship, what some would perceive as a personal failure, I had to turn around and really learn from it in a way that I wouldn't be who I was if I hadn't gone through that.
Right. And that's execution. It's like we were talking before the show started. I was just filling in on my two boys, and they wrestle, and they're in year 4 now. And when I am coaching them, I take a certain posture, and I have to be empathetic and be in their shoes, because that's just where they're at. And they don't have my life of their kids. And so many times you talk about executing, for somebody from the outside, it could be really clear what is fogging or holding somebody back. And frankly, our mind is our greatest strength, and it can be our biggest weight or challenge, or something that we're wrestling with and navigating. And that is executing, and that is doing. And we've probably heard analysis paralysis. You do too much thinking and you never take action. That's one type of not having the right mindset. But it sounds like that event was certainly impactful from a mindset perspective, and gave you a lot of confidence around, or excuse me, a lot of perspective on just where your confidence comes from. And it sounds like you're able to tune into your confidence a little bit easier as a result of it.
Yeah, and I think that yes, it is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And there are a lot of lessons around going through something really personally challenging, because what you realize is that it is all a head game. I was reading an article recently that said AI will never be able to replace the human experience, because we are each in our own mind living through a specific hallucination.
Right.
And I thought, oh, that's so relieving. I'm not the only one tripping out all the time. But it is really true. You go through something challenging and you realize the power of your mind and what you can draw from it and the strength that you have from it.
You talked about vision, right? And what I love about entrepreneurship is that you can see a legacy or an empire or impact or value through a vehicle like a business, and it doesn't quite yet exist. You persevere through seasons of creating different phases of the business that get you to where you're going. But when you start, you're never at that vision,
Right.
or at that end result. And so that is an idea, and that is powerful. And it's about cultivating and protecting and watering, ensuring that idea has room to grow and take root. And because ideas can be discouraged, whether it's our own internal mechanism that goes, oh, you can't do that, or, and so much of creating an idea is confidence. And that confidence comes from doing and fulfilling your commitment, doing your commitments. And that builds confidence, right? The more that you subconsciously or consciously know that you're capable of following through, it builds awesome confidence that hopefully is inspiring to your team and others that can come along and help create that vision as well. That is all mindset, or a hallucination, however you want to look at it.
It's mindset. It might be a hallucination in that you have to have faith in something you can't see. You have to really have that faith, because that's what everyone else needs you to have that faith. It's your creation, right? And so you have to stay true to that, and to stay true to it, you have to have this confidence that you know you're going to get there. You just know it.
Right. Oh my gosh. I think about so many of my personal seasons. It's crazy to think that I've been in the painting space for 18 years now, almost 2 decades. But in that journey, there has been a version of the business that didn't exist. And there's currently a version of the business that doesn't exist that I am living in. There was this version of the business that exists that was at one point a hallucination. What got me here and what will get me there is perseverance. And executing and doing, right? That is all a mindset or a hallucination. So, I guess with that being said, Meredith, what is your current hallucination for your business? Where are you going?
I'm really excited. I'm in a place of like where I'm thinking about growth. I'm thinking about, and I'm sure like sometimes ideas are like these balloons in the sky. You have to grab one because they're out there. Someone else might grab it. But so I'm sure other people are thinking about this too. But as I had mentioned AI, but I think with a lot of kids graduating from school now that are returning back to the trades, because it's a little safer to learn how to do things. I was thinking, like, what if I could tie in the growth of my business with helping teach and mentor others who are just starting in their career who can grow with my business as it starts. And so when I think about service, it helps me think about growth. And that's where I am right now, is in a particular hallucination, a vision of growth. My territories, as you and I have talked about before, covers a pretty wide swath. It's everything from when you get into the lower Hudson Valley up in Chappaqua and the mountains down to the beaches of the Long Island Sound. And it's not just going to be me and a general manager driving a truck. This is going to be something larger, and thinking about scaling and growing and what I want that to look like and who wants to be with me on that journey, where my headspace is right now. And getting to decide that is gives me a lot of, I don't know, energy, I guess. It inspires me.
That is the fuel, right? That the vision, the dream, it's big enough to inspire you to take action. It's big enough to inspire you to take life-changing action, not only for yourself, but for the folks that you're doing it with.
A lot of It's a lot of responsibility. We're just here this one time. My GM, Nick, he's very well positioned to be a mentor. He's also raised boys. He's very active in his community and mentorship roles. And I think that the two of us could really help some people learn how to grow in this business. So that makes the hustle real.
And I love that the trades and painting in particular are very straightforward. Even some white collar sophistication, like lead acquisition and sales. And then obviously we can fulfill it, but our 10-step production model, you name it. Those are, yeah, I love just the simplicity of our business, but yet the white collar sophistication. And it really allows and empowers leaders like yourself and me and your GM, Nick, to share that skill and create more value for clients, to help more people with their assets, and whether that's inside or outside. And that creates opportunities for our artisans and our vendors that we work with, and obviously our close team. And that all is possible because of your vision and your commitment, your perseverance to that vision. And that is inspiring. And so seeing your vision prior to you becoming an owner, and you being on the other side, and not just thinking about being an owner, but now you're an owner, and just seeing you as an owner and your approach with vision and perseverance and executing and building a team and doing it in alignment with our core values, I am inspired. So thank you for sharing again.
Thank you. I love to get the opportunity to talk about this to anyone. Yeah. So I'm definitely very inspired, and will chat with anyone who wants to hear it. So it's good to have this podcast to talk shop about it and really be free with these ideas.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to see it come to life over the years to come. I'm sure you'll be back on the show sharing other topics. And yeah, so again, thanks for your leadership and demonstration of building a dream team and persevering. But I want to move on to my next question. How has owning a lime painting business tested and strengthened your perseverance?
Every day is different. And so it's a, what is that line where it's, if you're in hell, just keep walking. It's if you're having a bad day, the next day you're going to be doing something different. And whether it's going out and meeting clients to give an estimate, or it's knocking on some doors, or you're trying to get into a trade show, or all of the different various things that make up the different days, all can make you feel like if one day was hard, the next day, just by the nature of you doing something different, serendipitously, will create a different mood for you. And to me, that keeps me motivated to keep moving forward. And also, another thing that helps with my perseverance on a day-to-day basis, I tell my partner Logan this and he teases me about it, but it's something Oprah Winfrey said, whereas if you have a goal and every day you make 3 steps towards that goal, there's 3 steps, even if all the other steps you were trying to make and it didn't work out and you were caught all over the place, but if you made 3 steps towards it, that's progress. And so if you can just wake up, whatever happened today, if you could just wake up and do that again tomorrow, then that is some gas you can put in your tank to get you to where you need to go. So that's what I think. I usually have my 3 things to get to my vision, and it keeps me from being overwhelmed too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, compartmentalizing.
yeah.
So key, because you're right, like there's an unending list, and how could you ever get the appropriate rest to go and attack the next three if you feel like there's 3,000? And frankly, there probably is. But yeah, and you probably get better at prioritizing what are the top three
Yeah.
and really optimizing those and not wasting time. And hey, when you can double up and get six, awesome. And that's the whole point, is to over time raise that ceiling, and ideally you're raising it alongside a team. And so of course you're going to compound efforts, and when everyone's doing three, four, five, six of
Mm-hmm.
the best, most prioritized items. And that's the key, is understanding, okay, what are the majors? What are the minors? What moves the needle? And when should I be focused on the minors and the majors? As you were talking, I was thinking about just loving the journey, loving the process. I can't tell you how many times I was inspired by what Lime was becoming, but I was disciplined and executing in where I was currently. And having seen that, we're talking through that over, for me, a couple of decades, but it's been a compounding of what you're talking about, just a more intimate application to Lyme and my journey. But that is the whole point, there is understanding where you're going and really taking care of that idea so that it stays healthy and strong, and loving the journey and the process, because that's what it is. It's a journey and it's a process. And the great thing is, if you persevere and stay disciplined in that posture, you're not always in year one. You're not always getting going. You do get to, yeah, we have a great team and we have a consistent portfolio, and we're optimizing and we're scaling. And that is a different season than aiding in developing momentum, but they're two and of the same thing. And it's in that it's the same journey, but that compartmentalizing of that is very healthy. It's so healthy.
Yeah, probably on a personal level too, which is another year one thing that I am having to learn is at some point you have to put the phone down. You have to turn the laptop off. You have to make dinner for your kids. You have to, the brain has to go someplace else for a little while. And that is very challenging. And I think that is a first year issue to contend with is like, where does that, where can I stop that? And so it's because I think it's fundamentally you can't burn yourself out. Still, it's a work in progress. Yeah, yeah. But compartmentalizing is a big learning lesson for me right now.
Yeah, I was recently thinking that I was like, when does the 4 a.m. wake up end? And when do I stop grinding until 10 p.m.? And like, I'm in an office right now with all four sides of the walls covered. Two are drywall, the other two are, one is a door, one is a window, but I've covered them with like podcast drapes to create ideal lighting and sound reduction. And I'm like in a hole. I've been joking, I'm like in a hole. And I love it because I could just go in the zone. I can wake up and just go all day and not even know what time or whatever. Sometimes I get out of the studio slash office and I'm like, wow, it's a really nice day. And it's a beautiful summer day. And it's like, okay, when does that end? Right. And I was thinking that it's like, I don't want it to end because I love the journey and I love the vision. I love the destination. I love the impact. I love the lifestyle. I love the legacy, the empire. And it doesn't, it, my first year is different than my 18th year, much like it was different than my second and third and fourth. But I've had to fall in love with every season. And if you ask me right now, am I in my ideal outcome with Lyme? I would say absolutely not. There's a lot of meat on the bone, and there's a lot that I would love for Lyme to become and the impact that it would make one day. And that is different than the point of view I had even just 5 years ago. But what is consistent, what is persevered is the love for wherever that, whatever the current season is for the lifestyle. And that is entrepreneurship. And that is the hack of entrepreneurship of a franchise, having the, not only the folks that support you, but your peer and collectively building something together. So you're no longer on an island, right? You're a part of something that is truly making history. And like for us, we're just about a household name. We are much closer to a household name than when we were getting started.
Right.
And I couldn't make Lyme a household name by myself. It's our ownership group that will get us to that point. And that is a shared love for the same vision. And that is the power of franchising and perseverance. Again, Meredith, your point of view and having you a part of the history that we're making at Lyme, it's truly an honor. And you are 1000% an entrepreneur, a business owner, doing it on the other side and doing it for yourself in Westchester, but doing it with a hack, this whole franchise hack. Thank you for helping me level up. But I do want to transition. So, what do you tell yourself on the days when it feels impossible?
That if I wasn't supposed to be doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. And I am where I am because this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Again, I think it ties into faith, but it sometimes it does feel impossible, but I don't have anything else to compare it to. And in terms of where else would I be? This is where I am because I made all these collective decisions in my life to be right here where it feels impossible. And so this is just where I'm supposed to be right now. And again, you sit with it and you won't feel this way forever. And you have your action steps and you have your list of priorities and you've got the things to move you forward. And those things all help get you out of that mental rut. but just the understanding that whatever force, life force, spiritual force, if you are religious, you believe that you are right where you are supposed to be, then when things feel impossible, they won't feel that way forever because you're supposed to be right there. I don't know if that was a very articulate way of saying that,
Yeah, I
but
think faith is hard to explain.
it is. And things feel impossible in so many different verticals of all of our lives, as in terms of, for me, living in New York City and having two small children that I've raised on my own. And you find yourself in circumstances that feel like the challenges are insurmountable, but you wouldn't be here if you didn't know how to contend with them. And it's like a burdens are for strong shoulders kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah, I'm inspired by your strong shoulders. If I haven't said that enough on this show, and I genuinely mean that. My gosh, so much of your story just inspires me, but I want to make sure that I'm staying on track here. So I'm going to move on to another question. It's a good one, but
Okay.
how has being a woman in a male dominated industry fueled your fire or made the journey harder?
I think it's been a little bit of both. I think as a woman anyway, you have a little radar about how which men are not easy to get along with the ladies. But I think the reaction and the response that I've gotten to being a woman in this industry has been very positive. And yeah, I just see it as, I see it as a win, and I see it as whatever the challenges are around that I've had around being a woman and not looked at in conversations or not taken seriously. Those are situations that can happen in any circumstance in any kind of industry. But for the most part, I find that the artisans and that I've worked with so far really have demonstrated a lot of loyalty. And I think that I have worked with female clients, and there's a camaraderie just in women working together on something and collaborating on something together. That to me is outweighed any kind of challenge I've had from working with a man who has a woman issue. We live in a world where it's hard not to find those guys. They're out there. But that's not, I don't think that's specific to this industry.
Ah, that's so awesome to hear. And it just ties into your leadership and your ability to create so much value. And that's what it's about, right? Whether it's you're a guy or a gal, it's about being able to deliver. And you certainly do that in spades. And I'm just so excited to see where you go over the years to come, Meredith. So inspiring. What advice would you give to someone who's on the edge of giving up?
I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the days when it feels impossible, that you are here and you have gotten to this place for a reason. And really, the only way you lose is if you give up. And we're not in this to do that. So you just have to stay where you are, stay really still, and don't quit.
Don't quit. Wow.
That's the only way you really lose.
Yeah, don't quit. That's so well said. So well said. I have a favorite saying. I've lived by it, and I think it's so applicable. And it's the opposite of what you just said. And it's just do it. And the opposite of that, and so appropriate, don't quit. And whether you believe it or not, I haven't had very many, but I have had moments where I wanted to quit. It's never been worth it. It's always been much more worth it to just do in whatever season it was, and that season passes.
Yeah.
And when you stay and you don't quit and you persevere, good things happen.
Yeah, I think perseverance is also like when the room is spinning, you stay really still until it stops, and it will eventually stop. So just giving yourself that patience.
Let's go. So, Meredith, final question for you. Why do you love franchising so much?
I really like I really like that there are a lot of resources available to me, but I also like building off of something that already exists because it's been validated. And especially in my first year, I can lean on that in a way that I hope as I mature in my business that maybe other first time franchise partners could come and I could do that for them. And in that way I feel like I'm very grateful to have a community within the company to provide that for me, that we're legitimate, that we come with all sorts of experiences, even if it's your first year. So it's a collective kind of that I really appreciate that is involved in sharing ideas and experiences that I don't, I think I would just feel lonely if I were doing it by myself.
No kidding. Yeah, hearing you say that, I was in 2020 and we had our first few owners launching and first out of state launching. And could you imagine the world shutting down and that whole deal? And we were all in our first years. I was first year really going out of the state, and owners were just getting going, and like your first year right now.
Yeah.
And we just kept saying, man, could you imagine if we were a ma and pa and we were on an island?
Yeah.
It was, we lived the hijack that is a franchise. It is so real and so paramount to persevering and fulfilling your commitments, living out your vision, creating the empire, the legacy, the impact, the lifestyle that you have in mind for yourself. Keep fighting the good fight. Ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you tuning in, but Meredith, more so, I appreciate just your leadership, your testimony, and coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And I feel so grateful to be a part of what you're creating too.
Woohoo. Yeah, what we're creating together.
What we're
Right.
creating together. Yes.
Absolutely. And please subscribe, drop a comment down below. As always, level up.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Level Up with Nick Lopez show. Remember, it's never too late to get started on your entrepreneurial journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed today's segment. Catch us again next week and visit limepainting.com for more of the Level Up with Nick Lopez show.